Hi everyone, it's Ryan here. So today I'm starting the self-build series for anyone who's considering doing a van conversion themselves. We're going to be discussing various topics around how you convert your own van. So today's video is going to be things to consider before you start, and later in the series we'll be going over what tools you might need, a rough overview of the sort of costs that are involved, what kind of problems you're likely to face, and so what are the things you need to consider. Well, the first point I would suggest thinking about is how many people are going to be using the van. That's on a regular basis. Are you going to have guests? Are you going to have friends come over? For most people, it's going to be one or two, and that means that your decisions you'll make from there are going to be pretty standard compared to a lot of other people. So how big do you need for the sleeping? How much seating space do you need? That's going to be influenced more so by how many people obviously will be using. Next thing I would suggest to consider is, what are you actually going to be using the van for? It's a simple question, but are you going to be just doing day trips down to the beach? Are you taking it away for weekends and going to be sleeping in the van? Is it a new home for you that you'll be traveling for months at a time in? These are all worth considering because it will make a difference in terms of how you'll prioritize space. So if you're going to be traveling for long periods in the van, storage is going to be really important to you. Whereas if you're traveling for shorter periods, it might be a case of that you don't need a toilet in the van, or you don't want the cooking space because you're going to design it differently. So I'd really just take a bit of time and consider how specifically you want to use it, and maybe the exact trips you're going to do. If it's a long trip and you're going to warmer climates or colder climates, that's obviously going to influence different parts of your build. Height is going to be something you need to consider. Unfortunately for the taller viewers, van life may be a little bit more difficult for you than others, but it's not something you can't work around. So when considering height, think about the bed, where you're going to place it, how much leg room you might need. For smaller viewers, you may be able to get away with having your bed sort of horizontally in the van, going side to side rather than doing it lengthways. But just consider in terms of how comfortable you're going to be. If you're going to be sleeping in the van for long periods of time, you want to have a bed that you actually fit in. You want to be able to sit down, have a bit of clearance between you and the ceiling. Think about it in terms of the van that you're going to choose. Some vans have a bit more difference in height internally. Go round, have a look at them, make sure you think, oh, am I going to add subfloor? Where is my head height going to be when you finish the actual build itself? And just plan through those different details. Next thing I would suggest considering is about storage. This is probably going to be one of the most important parts of your plan and build of the van itself. Storage is going to be influenced by the things we've mentioned earlier in the video. So if you're taking long trips away, how much stuff are you going to need to bring with you? What are you bringing with you? The food, clothes, cooking utensils, any sort of camping equipment or fun and games that you might be bringing with you. Just plan through what's coming and where it's going. If you're looking to have a lot bigger items come with you, so some people like to go surfing, paddleboarding, or maybe you're bringing mountain bikes with you, where are they going to go when you actually travel in the van? A lot of vans, what they might do is at the rear of the van, if it's a larger one, they'll have a garage section. So this area back here will be raised up higher, and then your bikes, any wet equipment can go into that area. Or it could be you have a roof rack. The possibilities are endless, really. Electrics is an area that might seem quite daunting to a lot of self-builders out there, but with good planning, it is something you can get your head around. There are a few key areas I would suggest thinking about with regards to electrics. That's the size of your battery bank, the way you're going to recharge the electrics, and where specific items are going to go in your van. So when it comes to the recharging, most vans will use some sort of split charge relay or a battery to battery charger that uses the alternator of the van itself to then charge the battery bank. You might then have a mains hookup or solar panels, but think through how you're going to use the van and how best you want to charge it. In terms of the battery bank, it's going to be influenced obviously by the number of devices you'll be using and how long you'll go without being able to recharge. In terms of location of devices, this is something that is quite important. You may need to run all the cables before you do like the cladding on the walls. So if you want to have a socket by your bed or at the back of the van, and then your battery bank is going to be at the front, plan that through, because it's going to be very difficult to do that after the fact if you've then put in cladding and things and you're now having to tack cables to the wall. Finally, something that a lot of people will actually forget but is a very important part of van life: where are you going to go number 2? If you're living in the van or taking it away for trips, it's quite an important thing that you will need to plan for. So are you happy just to have like a chemical toilet that you pull out and use? Are you going to need to have a bit of privacy? So if you've got you're in a couple and you're traveling in the van together, do you want to build a private room where you have like a shower and your toilet in there? Or are you not going to have a toilet at all in the van, and plan around using sort of supermarkets and using the public facilities that might be available in the destinations you're traveling to? Just something worth considering and thinking, where's that going to go in the van, because it could take up a lot of space. So those are the main areas I wanted to cover in the video. I wanted to keep it short and sweet, just to go over really the main areas that I think will affect most people's van builds. If you are considering doing a project yourself, I would highly recommend take a day or two just to sort of think through these kind of questions and how you plan on using your build. Really work through like the layout and how you want it to be tailored specific to your needs and how you're going to travel around in your van. If you've got any questions or I've missed anything in the video you'd like sort of covered over, feel free to leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you. If not, check out the rest of the series. I'll be trying to upload videos every few days, just going over the topics that will be on what you can consider when doing a self build.